All right, everybody. Welcome to Lunch Band. I'm very glad you're all here. Today, joining us from Columbia, South Carolina, are our friends Stagbriar, and they're going to be performing live for us. Can we hear some applause? Yeah!
Woo! Stagbriar.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
With that, I'm going to turn it over to y'all to do some introductions and perform. They are performing live, so in between songs, we're going to unmute ourselves and give rounds of applause when appropriate, and then we're going to mute ourselves back, right? Awesome.
Thanks so much, Sam. Hey guys, we're Stagbriar from right here in Columbia. We are standing in our living room at the moment and are excited to join you guys for lunch. So I'm Emily. My preferred pronouns are she and her. And
I'm Alex. My preferred pronouns are he and him.
And this is my brother. We are siblings. So if it's cool with everybody, we're gonna play us a few songs. And the first song to start off is kind of a song to relax Alex and I. It's and remind ourselves that you can make a mess of the simplest song and nobody will laugh at you. So here we go.
You can make a mess of the simplest song and no one will laugh. No one will laugh. You can make a mess of the simplest song and no one will laugh at you. You can make a mess of the simplest song and no one will laugh. No one will laugh. You can make a mess of the simplest song and no one will laugh at you. 'Cause if they do, they can fight me too. 'Cause no one should laugh at you.
Woo!
Woohoo!
That's just a song to warm up to and to, we can even mess that up as much as we want and no one should laugh at us.
Right.
What's next?
Yeah, so we'll play a few of our own songs now. The song is called Open Floor Plan.
When you were young, you taught me all the things you held behind your tongue. You're not entertained the invitation of at the heart. Would you say that love is just the thing you do and then you don't, my friend? I was just fine until you told me that you don't. I'm not the words to change your mind. And you won't. What if I told you I made for the end your favorite color? But in the way you like, and I lose my step and paint the hardwood floor with oily glass. Would you say that love is just a thing you do before you fall, my friend? I was just fine until you told me that you don't. I'm not the words to change your mind. need you to hear me out. I was on the way. I need you to hear me out. Now it's just fine until you told me. I'm not the words to change your mind. So now you're an old man, raised the rib by the fence, and you're carving exits out of an open floor. I don't understand this. I don't mean to figure this out.
Thank you, guys. We know some of our songs can be a little softer and then a little louder, so now we thought about bringing in the banjo and getting a little twangy with
It's
it.
been a while since we've played this song.
Yeah. The song's called Deepest Leaks.
All right. Ready? 2, 3,
Hey, hey, what you know? None of us show, and neither of the hands that you do. Say to me, you know it best, directed by the chips who rest the toast to the full house and back to dead. Sorry, sir, your time is passing. In a hurry, gosh, to no one's this. Smell the blood, you are the shark, lurking around the dark, your bodies leave us floating in the deepest sleep. Say, castles made of mortified, your teeth are like a wrecking ball, they can sink it all back in free. Cheers, burn until you fall to the ground. Taking back the matches I don't think I've ever seen you listen. I was once in love with golden gorge, silver stone, lying along the river like to be thrown outside. He'll show the flock how it feels to be head over heels for rock. And I'll stay out of town to keep my end of the bargain. And if boy can break you down, guess I'll make you cry.
Woo! The greatest audience ever.
Yes.
Oh, the greatest. What's next, Al?
Well, let's find out.
Let's find out.
Born a Worm.
Ooh. So this next one is not ours, but it's also another one Alex and I like to go back to quite a bit.
It's a fun song to sing, and it just you know, is a nice reminder that you can't explain everything.
Yeah.
That some things just happen, and so yeah, this is a song called "Born a Worm." You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Born a worm, spins a cocoon, goes to sleep, wakes up a butterfly. Oh, what the heck is that about? What the heck is that about? Born a worm, spins a cocoon, goes to sleep, wakes up a butterfly. Oh, what the heck is that about? What the heck is that about? What's it all about? Born a worm, spins a cocoon, goes to sleep, wakes up a butterfly. Oh, what the heck is that about? What the heck is that about? We don't know. That's the end of that
Do
song.
you? Do you know? I don't know.
What's next?
Couple more? Do we have time for a couple more? Cool.
Yeah, we do Hero into
Okay.
Paris.
Is it? We might go back to a little bit of a slow one if that's cool. Now that we got the worm's been turned into a butterfly, we can fly kind of slowly and lightly into this next tune. Tuning. Have you guys been doing a lot of tuning this week?
If you haven't been doing a lot of tuning, do some more tuning.
Alex loves to tune.
Can you play your chord?
No magic here. We're just kind of listening to each other and seeing if we like the way that it sounds.
Okay. Yeah, let's start. All busted ties, so I know the hero dies. If I got dust in my eyes, or am I too old to cry? Find my head, I am too wired to sleep, too tired to make my bed. So sick of treading the same line. And I held it in, and I am fine if they take me, trying to escape my skin. And I heard a song
tangled up like a giant, but I could not hear him fall. Cold whistle blown, but I heard laughter, and I should have known when I heard drums. Old skin and bone lay down beside, till the cavalry comes. So usually when we play this song live, we go straight into this other song.
So it's a 2-for-1.
So it's a 2-for-1. That's right. You were fished out from Kentucky. Broke a line and took you with you. And I've been shattering my knees just begging to forgive. You're a child when you're discouraged. Someone sets you up for failure. Throw my casket in the river, but don't call me a sailor. Did you think there was space in my head now to soften and sit or to be little things I've been through? I don't think you meant to. You never meant to. I'll always miss you. You were fished out from Kentucky.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I think we've got one more, Sam. Is that okay?
Awesome. Yeah.
Perfect.
Or 2 more full albums.
Well, yeah. Well, we want to talk with you guys. We want to chit chat too. So. This is part of it, right? Part of the beauty. This song's called Bob the Rights.
Snap the wire of a crackling sound. Didn't notice till I tasted blood in my mouth. I wasn't trying to freak you out. I'll be leaving now. your sleigh, that's a little fun. A 10-cent piece of chewing gum, I live in surely hold them. You didn't ask. You didn't ask. Didn't care. Can't go. Can't go. Placing bets, making moves. Lord, you're impatient, and I guess my money is on you. The table folds, you can't find your shoes. Will I still be home back? You didn't ask. You didn't ask. Didn't care. Can't go. Can't go. I want my body to remember me. I want my body to remember me. I want my body to remember me. I want my body to remember me.
Um,
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That was a bunch of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for having us. Those are all the songs we've got for you.
Yeah. You wanna chit chat for a little bit?
I think we do. I'm gonna get us started. I know that y'all are releasing new work right now. I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah. So Alex and I started this project. Oh wow, what year is it?
2012 is when we started.
So 8 years ago. Him and I grew up together. Obviously, we're brother and sister, but we really did not write or sing music together until.
Or even really hang out at all. We didn't hang out at
Yeah,
all.
we really weren't. I mean, we loved each other, but we weren't like the closest of siblings.
Right.
But we both played music separately. And then when I was 18, we started playing music together, which was about 8 years ago. And so we made a first record together with a band, basically, and put it out in 2013. Is that right?
2013.
So 7 years ago. And played some songs for a while, and then we haven't done anything in like
4 years.
4 years at all. So we decided to start writing again together, and we made another record. And what are the deets about that?
The record comes out in about a month.
A month from yesterday, I think.
A month from 2 days ago.
A month from 2 days ago.
Yeah. But yeah, it comes out on August 21st. We've got a new record. It'll be on all your streaming platforms and stuff like that. And then we've got actual records. Actually, I could show you one.
Ooh. our house is just full of
Stuff.
Stagbriar stuff.
So we've got our new record here. It comes out on the 21st of August. We've got it on CD too, but these are a lot more fun looking. And yeah, it's got essentially songs that we've written over the course of the last 4 years, all the way up until one of the songs that's on the album was written like maybe a week or two before the album actually was recorded. But we had a lot of fun making this record. It's definitely got there's a full band on it, so it's got a much more live feel than what you heard today, probably.
Yeah, we've got 3 other guys that play in the band with us, so it's a full sound. And this record in particular, just from a musician standpoint, the interesting thing we did with this new record that we didn't do with the previous record was we recorded basically the entire thing live. So the 5 of us were just in a room kind of doing one take at a time until we got it the way we wanted it. But to record a record and track it live brings a whole new feel, and I think just a more accessible feel to us. You can really feel us in the room kind of all playing together, which is really cool, I think. So we're excited about that. Yeah.
Awesome. Zoe, do you have Zoe with an eye? Oh, you just dipped out. You still here?
Hello?
No, you're good. I'm fine.
Okay.
She went to wash her hands. She'll be right back. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a question? Layla, you talking? Justine?
So, how has writing music together changed your relationship as siblings? And how has your relationship as siblings influenced your music making?
Great question.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I think we realized was, especially as siblings that didn't grow up super close to one another, that as soon as you start to make art together, you become very vulnerable. And that was something that obviously over time has really strengthened the bond that we have as siblings. But it did take some getting used to. I mean, we were both writing about things, and still are, that are very personal to our singular lives, but we're coming and trying to like explain these things and also get them emotionally across in all kinds of ways. So just being, there's a lot of trust involved. And I think that comes with making music with anybody, but especially co-writing music, is trusting to give somebody else a piece of your soul, to A, not judge it, B, not change it to be not what you intended it to be,
Right.
but to also add what you're asking them to for them to be a part of that. So you're inviting them into that space. So that's what I've learned for me. I don't know about for you. Hold on, let me decline that. Are we still good?
Are we still connected?
Are we still good? You got a phone call.
I got a phone
Sorry.
call in the middle of it, sorry.
But that's what I've learned. I don't know, Alex, what about for you?
No, I think that that definitely speaks to how it's definitely like made our relationship closer in terms of just, I mean, you're kind of forced to learn more about each other than you intended, you know. There's a lot of guessing that goes on. We'll play songs for a few weeks before I go, so what's this song really about?
Yeah.
You know, and then there will be even times where, in fact, Deepest Leaks is a really good example. The song that we played earlier with the banjo, where Emily wrote the first half of the song and I wrote the second half of the song. And I don't think that we have ever had a formal conversation about what the other person wrote their half about. So it's just been,
It just worked.
it just, you know, it happened to work. And I basically asked her without asking too many questions, is this saying what you want to say for the latter half of the song? And she agreed that that was a good way to end it. And I thought that the way she started, what the words that I had to say were just as equally, you know, an important way to start. So sometimes that magic just kind of happens. And then sometimes it's just, you know, there's a few songs that Emily brought for the new record that she, brought just a couple of weeks before we recorded, and we changed almost nothing. I mean, it was just, we're going to do these exactly like you did them. We hardly even added the rest of the band just because what she had brought was as honest as it needed to be.
I think that's important too when creating music with anybody is just making sure that the space you're filling in somebody else's creation is appropriate. And that also, again, goes back to trust and takes two people in there and that trust one another to kind of share those feelings without somebody taking anything away that's not the way it was intended. So yeah, it's before making music with Alex, I had never written or created music with anybody this closely. So this has been, I think, the first test for me, maybe the first test for him. And so far it's, seemed to work out all right. So
yeah, I think, not to make this answer any longer, but I think one of the other things that's like surface level important is we talk a lot about the things that we like that aren't Stagbriar. So just like saying like, hey, what are you into, what are you listening to? Okay, this is what I'm listening to, let me listen to some of what you're into right now. She shows me new music all the time. I work at a record store, so I show her new music almost every day. But still, it's a lot of just kind of listening back. Oh, I can hear what you're doing there. You're trying to make it sound like this thing. Because I've listened to that, I can help you. And so just listening to what other people prefer and kind of being able to shape things to their their needs and their desires. Yeah.
I'll say, even if you can't describe it, you're like, oh, I like that shimmery thing that's happening there. And he's like, yeah, me too. And so then when you go to make a record or something and you're like, Alex, you remember that shimmery thing? Like, can we make that happen? So yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Good point.
Thank you. That's awesome.
A question.
Thank you for that question.
Question from Kendall. So Zoe?
So I actually have two questions. First up, did you ever go solo before you made a band? And also, when did you learn to play guitar?
Okay.
Great
Great questions.
Yeah.
We both played separately. Yeah. So Emily played solo by herself for a few years before we had a band. And then I had a couple of other bands before we had gotten together.
We both honestly picked guitar up about the same age. So we're 4 years apart. But I think when we were 13,
around 12 or 13.
12 or 13, respectively. So when he was 12, he got his first guitar. And then when I became 12, 4 years later, I got my first guitar. So we didn't have, we started off 4 years separately, but we both kind of started at that age of 12. But really nothing before then, as far as guitar goes.
We had played some piano, I think, before then.
A little bit of piano.
Just a little bit. We were not very good at piano.
No.
But yeah, both started playing guitar around 12, and yeah. And
we still do play separately. That's the fun thing is we actually live together in this house, and our rooms are right across the hall from one another. So all the time I'll be playing and writing kind of my own solo stuff in my room, and same with him in his room. And I think that makes us come to the table with even more when we decide to collaborate and write some Stagbriar stuff, which is cool.
Definitely.
Thank you for that question. Great question.
Kendall? And then I see you, Zoe Soleil. Kendall? Just walked off. Okay, with Kendall, you have a question?
Yeah. Did you guys already play music? Did they already play music?
Yeah, they did. And you know what? We're going to post the whole performance. So if you want to watch it later.
Okay. And I have another question for them. I wasn't here. So did you guys start when you were little kids? Or
mid-range. So we both played a little bit of piano when we were younger, probably in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade kind of thing. And then, but we got our guitars probably about the age of 12 or 13. And from there it was a long, slow road. But yeah, about age 12 is when we got our guitars.
How did you know you were going to be musicians?
Oh boy.
Well, our dad is a musician, and I think that played a big part in it. That we grew up listening to him play music. In fact, our dad put out a record in the '80s, 1,000 years ago, and we were just looking at that record the other day. I think that's had a big part in just wanting us or kind of giving us the inspiration to do it on a professional level or a semi-professional level. And so that's probably what drove a lot of it.
But we came from a house that there was singing and whistling and play. I mean, Mom played the piano all the time. So we grew up in a musical family.
We're really lucky to do so.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's that. I don't,
Yeah.
I can't repay.
Yeah, but it's I would say that the playing out and playing kind of pop music like we play, that was something that we both developed a love for on our own. Our parents are not really into, secular music. They're more into, their religious music and that kind of stuff. And we, tend to play.
And making friends that played music. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's been a huge part of it too.
Even in middle school, oh man, that was when I really started to meet people that loved music in a way that I did too, that I had never experienced. And so I think we both made friends with people who loved music or wanted to learn how to play music. And then we've all kind of grown up together in this process of continuing to try to do that. So finding a good community of people who love those same things that you do and who,
and will
support you.
They'll consistently support you and uplift you.
And you teach each other things all the time. I mean, that's where it all comes from. Even more so than a lesson is like getting in the room with people who love it just as much as you do.
Right.
Zoe, Soleil?
My question is, have you ever gone on tour?
We have gone on tour. We've done a couple of tours. In fact, one of our most favorite ones, Emily, do you want to tell the story about the trip to Texas?
Yeah, so a few years ago, we went to Texas out to play a show out in Texas. And Texas is kind of a long way if you look on a map, right? So we decided to take 2 cars between 5 people. And I'm glad we did, because my car ended up breaking down on the way down there, broken down to the point where like you couldn't move it. You needed a tow truck. So they came and towed my car away from a Waffle House parking lot in Atmore, Alabama. And we all packed into one tiny little truck, basically the 5 of us, and drove to the rest of the way to Texas. And then on the way back from Texas, we stopped to pick up my car that had been fixed, and we got on the road, and within an hour, within 45 minutes, it was completely broken down again. So we ended up leaving my car again somewhere in Alabama and just coming home, just like kind of surrendering the car and saying,
my car.
We've done the trip, we've been on tour. After tour, you really just want your own bed to sleep in and a clean pair of pajama pants. So we just came home at that point.
Instead of using your car, you could have had just rented a van.
A van would have been very convenient to rent. Yes, it would have been the smart choice.
We could have used you on tour.
Yeah.
Next time we go on tour, we'll let you know.
Yeah, I just, Zoe Soleil, my next tour manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, y'all, I'm still looking for hands. So if you have a question, let us know in the chat or by raising your hand. I have a question about your songwriting process. I'm sure it's different for all of your songs, but something y'all that's unique to the other bands we've seen at lunch is you do have 2 guitars and you're playing different parts. And so I'm wondering if, how do you write those parts? And also, are y'all like music first, lyrics first, or what's it like?
I can take this one.
Okay.
I do think it's different for every song. Personally, from a writing perspective, I usually find, I don't know, more of these days I'm finding music first. I think it always changes. But especially when it comes to writing parts for Alex and I to play together, to be honest, a lot of that comes from just jamming over a song. Like once it's kind of developed and written, and if it's his song and he's teaching me the chords, and then we just kind of play and we're like, ooh, that sounds cool. So it's a bunch of kind of just riffing and jamming until we find something that works. I also will say, just as a shout out before I pass this over to Alex, from a band earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week, but Alex is repping his own shirt today. if you guys remember Ohm, and we love Ohm. We were super lucky to get to play a show with them in Columbia a couple of years ago, but the way that they play guitar parts together was super inspirational for us, because we started writing our record about the time that we played that show with them. So that kind of idea of two guitar parts that complement each other but still stay different enough. Ohm does such a good job with that.
Great job.
But I don't know, that's at least where I am, is I think right now music probably comes first, and then lyrics on top of that. But what about for you?
No, I think you're right that it changes from song to song. For me, I'm in a really weird place where I'm writing kind of the lyrics and the music at the same time, which is a totally different process. But I think that one thing to remember, maybe if you're going to be writing parts with friends, is that kind of like Emily was saying, you know, she'll have the basic structure of a song or the chords, you know, and then she may bring them to me and I'll try to play a little bit on top of it to make it a little bit more. But then what ends up happening that's interesting sometimes is Emily will end up playing less than she originally intended, because I will add, you know, enough to, so that's another thing too, is to know that your original idea can change.
Right.
Once you add somebody in, it doesn't have to stay the exact same. You kind of just have to listen to each other to see.
There's this balance of like if you think of like a pocket of space, and I think when you create a song, sometimes it's just you and an instrument. Like say that I was just to write a song, that I would want to just fill all of that space with me and my guitar. But then when I bring it to Alex, it's important for me to remember that circle of space doesn't get bigger. I just have to fit him into it. So sometimes I have to pull myself out of it a little bit. I have to play a little bit less on the guitar. Or if we're singing together, maybe we sing a little bit softer, and together we're just as loud. Right. But kind of making space for all of the elements that you want to fit, or all of the friends that you want to fit into that song.
Zoe has another question.
Okay.
Cool.
So are you guys going to be performing in Columbia anytime soon?
We would love to. Right now with coronavirus going around, we don't have any definite plans to play. We're kind of waiting to see what the atmosphere looks like maybe at the beginning of next year. And you know, maybe going to reassess things then. We had shows booked just to play all through this year, and unfortunately because of the virus going around, we've had to just put those off for the time being. We actually haven't even had a full band practice since January.
Yeah, this room that you're seeing is our living room, but we keep it completely empty. There's actually a desk for painting right now.
Yeah.
But we keep it empty because this is where our band practices, and we haven't had band practice in like 4 months. So this room is so sad. So we're actually thrilled.
We're thrilled to play in it right now. Yeah. But yeah, no definite plans to play right now, but check us out next year. Hopefully 2021 will bring some live shows, and once we can find a safer world outside.
I want to say I'm also really glad y'all played that show with Ohm in Columbia, because I think that's largely the reason I reached out to them, and it was really cool that they joined us from Chicago.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
They're such awesome women. Oh man.
Yeah, and they do karate. We found out.
I heard. Yeah, Macy does some karate, huh?
Zoe Soleil?
My question is, what have you been doing before COVID-19 been happening? Like, have you been on concerts, on tour before COVID hit Columbia?
Good question. Because obviously everything stopped once COVID hit, right? We're all stuck at home. Before COVID, we were trying to finish up this new record. We were in the studio last October. So we did about a week in the studio. And then the fun part about when you make a project that I always forget about, Alex is really good about this, is I am always like, okay, the music's done, it's done. And he says, no, there's like album art and all of these, you've got to come up with a name for the record, and like all of these extra cool things that you get to do after you make music. You get to name it and put a picture to it or whatever you want to do. So that's really what we've been doing since before COVID. We weren't on tour, sadly.
We played some big shows previous to coronavirus.
Yeah, you're kind of in town.
but yeah, the plan was to tour this new record, and all of that got kind of put on a halt. So just waiting for things to open back up.
There's a big question in the chat. It's, what's your favorite song ever?
Oh, favorite song ever.
What a question.
To these days.
Oh, I have a semi-answer for this, and only recently, because there's just recently been a song in my life that one of my favorite musicians, he goes by Tallest Man on Earth. He claimed that the best song that was ever written is Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell. And I kind of have been agreeing in the last couple of months. That's a song that I've been playing quite a bit of. So I don't know that I'd say it's my favorite song of my entire life, but my favorite song right now is Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell.
I think that I'm going to take this opportunity to say it's really important that you can have many favorite all-time songs, because I think that it changes. Like I have my song for when it's raining outside versus when it's sunny outside, or for when I'm driving around in the car versus when I'm just sitting by myself at home. I mean, that just changes so dramatically based on my mood or the way that I feel. So, I think it's okay to just have multiple favorite. You might have a favorite song for a particular situation, but I mean, I do think that it changes every day for me, really. There are definitely some bands that I listen to. Tallest Man on Earth is one of my favorites of all time, probably. But yeah, I think that you'd be free to let that change as the day, even you can have several favorite songs in one day. It just kind of depends on your mood.
Absolutely. Great question.
Mm-hmm.
We do have to wrap up pretty soon because we have a Middle Eastern movement workshop at 1, but I have one last question. So this year we haven't done gear. Some folks requested gear and are borrowing gear, but we've been creating sort of in Soundtrap, which is Spotify's GarageBand, basically. So do y'all have any other instruments there in your living room, jam room?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. Let's see what we can figure out here. Let me just kind of give the tour, because we can't really bring the drum set to you.
Drums are over
but
here.
We do have a little drum set up there.
And you can see all our guitar amps kind of in the back behind the drum set. There's all our guitar amps are lined up back there.
And we've got a few guitars out here. I'll set that down and
let's put it back over here. And then, so this is Emily's, if you want to talk about it.
This is a little ukulele my dad actually gave me, and it's become one of my favorite little instruments to play. The cool thing about this ukulele, it's baritone ukulele, is it's tuned like the last 4 strings on a guitar. So if you know any guitar really, you can translate this onto this ukulele, which makes it really easy to play all your favorite songs, but in MIDI form. So that's the ukulele. He's bringing out a couple of his toys now.
Do you want to grab this one?
Yeah.
So cool.
And then these are our electrics. This is a semi-hollow body, which means it's got little holes in it like that where you can actually see inside. It looks a lot like an acoustic guitar in the fact that you can kind of see inside of it, which gives it just a little bit more of like a rich kind of warm sound.
A rounder sound.
A rounder sound, yeah. Something like that.
Because I always think this is the Telly, he's the other electric. This is an electric that sounds kind of sharper and to me more square.
Mm-hmm.
Can sound a little more rigid. So those are the electrics. But speaking of the fact that you guys are kind of creating only online or mostly online, I have more recently gotten into kind of trying to do the same thing, kind of teach myself music production in a way that Alex has known it for kind of a long time, but I really haven't. So I've been teaching myself a lot of that. So just to say that I understand the learning curve and the creation curve you're going through with that. But I think for me, it's been a great way to expand my mind in terms of what I know that I can create, because sometimes there's things I hear that I can't do on this, but I can do on digitally, I can do on those programs. So I hope that's going well for you guys. I'm sure it is. I'm sure you're creating some amazing things, but keep going.
Thank you so much. Can we give a big round of applause for Stagbriar? This was so much fun, y'all.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
us,
Zach.
guys.
Blast.
Thanks
Thank
so
y'all.
much.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks, everybody.